Politics and religion, a combination that lends itself to some sticky conversations, even among family and friends. I know every year when my wife and I are driving the family to Thanksgiving dinner, we remind ourselves, let's not talk about politics. You know, if politics comes up, let's try and avoid it. Yet 2 hours later, we find ourselves among 15 other people screaming at each other across the table, throwing mashed potatoes, and this is just where Jesus finds himself today in Mark's gospel. Maybe not throwing mashed potatoes, but he finds himself in kind of a political, sticky conversation. See, these Pharisees that he's talking to are trying to trip him up. They're trying to trap him, make him angry. And instead of getting angry, Jesus threads that needle like only he can. The Pharisees are bringing up the topic of taxes, which is probably a popular political topic of conversation even today. You know, something we all have different opinions on, something we hate or disagree on. And so they ask him, Jesus, is it lawful to pay this tax? Jesus asks him to see a coin, and as he picks up that denarii, he says, whose face is this on this coin? And they answer, Caesar's. And he says, whose inscription is this on the coin? They say, Caesar's. And so Jesus says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but give to God what belongs to God. One thing that's important for us to remember as Christians is that even if we had the perfect political candidate, even if laws were laid out perfectly like we think they should be, we still need a Savior. A perfect government can never replace our need for God. And so our first allegiance is not to our country. It's not to our president or political candidate or to the flag. Our first allegiance is to God. Sometimes what politics tends to do, even with myself, is get a chokehold on our hearts. And when that happens, what happens is we tend to get angry. We tend to get obsessive about little political things, and maybe where we check the same headlines or certain websites or listen to certain radio things, and ultimately what it does is it robs our hearts of peace. See, politics has no business being on the level of the heart. Our hearts, too, have an inscription, much like that coin, except the inscription on our heart is, this belongs to God. My challenge to you today is something kind of unique. One time I did this for an entire year, and it was a really peaceful year. My challenge to you is don't read the news. I'm not telling you to do that because I'm saying to bury your head in the sand or close your eyes and pretend that, politics or, issues don't exist. But sometimes when we give ourselves that break, when we give ourselves a pause, a respite from all the political storms that are going on around us, what we allow our hearts to do is reorient themselves to their Maker, to the one whom they belong. And so my challenge to you today is in your prayer, in that space that you make for yourself, to offer your heart to God in whom it belongs.